assume nothing. That needs to be the motto for college football. Never assume anything in this absolutely crazy sport, because anything can truly happen on any given Saturday. That was once again the case in Week 4. We talked about Week 2 being great, Week 3 being great. Week 4, college football, you've outdone yourself again. 6 top 25 teams going down this weekend. Yeah, 4 of those were in ranked versus ranked matchups, but some of those results were very surprising and not what we thought was going to happen. And we also learned a lot about other top 25 programs and other programs across the country, both on the good side of things and the bad side of things. So we are here to break down this last weekend of college football. Again, the weeks continue to seem to outdo themselves, but we're here to break down the absolute madness here on the Gridiron Expert. So welcome back, guys. We're so glad you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our expert picks right over here. We had a pretty dang successful weekend through our expert picks. They're one of the lowest prices in the country. For the best picks in the country, we're hitting 57% of our bets so far this season, 70% in Week 4. Really couldn't ask for much better. Ironically, unfortunately, 2 of those losses were in our best bet section. We're not happy about that, but we do feel very confident we're going to bounce back in Week 5. But again, 70% week. Again, you're not finding many handicappers out there that are producing these type of results every single week. And it is a full year-long subscription, so it's never too late to sign up. Never too late to sign up for Expert Picks. You sign up now, you get it for a full 365 days, and we can promise you're going to sign up to take advantage of our Week 5 picks. Again, off to a pretty good start, and we're not even done with the month of September. 40-7 on the money line through our picks. Got a couple upset picks in there this week as well. So 40-7, 85% in Week 4. That brings our total to 186-32 so far this year. We're going to crack 200 wins. 200 wins will happen by the end of next week, by the end of Week 5. So how about that? How about that for our first month of the season? Really can't complain there. So we're doing great across the board on our expert picks. The link for that down in the description below. We want you to go sign up for those and become a member of our GE Nation today. So let's jump into this thing, guys. Let's go jump into this wild recap. Let's start on Friday night. We had a top 25 matchup on Friday night, one that was kind of surprising, right? Illinois and Nebraska, number 24 Illinois, number 22 Nebraska. Didn't really expect that to be a top 25 matchup back in the preseason, and yet here we are. This is what we got. Illinois stunned us all, 31-24 in overtime. The Illini, man, the Fighting Illini, the Fighting Brett Bielema's, they're the real deal. They came into Nebraska, what was it, their 400th consecutive sellout. So not only are they ranked, not only are they hosting a top 25 team, they've got that going for them as well. They're at home, and Illinois never faltered, right? They were dealt a couple big blows here and there, but they never panicked. Extremely balanced attack of 215 passing yards. They actually can throw the ball now. 168 rushing yards, gashing this Nebraska front seven that for the first couple weeks of the season looked extremely strong. Nebraska led 17-10 at halftime. They were back and forth in the second half. Nebraska then missed the potential game-winning field goal with 2:59 remaining in the game. They remained tied at 24. Illinois breaking the tie in overtime, and then 2 costly sacks by Dylan Raiola in overtime. 2 of the 5 sacks that Illinois had on the day, completely breaking through the Nebraska offensive line. Obviously, it was like 4th and 40 by the time it was all said and done. They obviously did not convert. Illinois survived 31-24 on the road. And again, this team is legit. They're looking really good. Nebraska, on the other hand, we thought this was when they were going to finally break through, get to 4-0, winning against a top 25 team, and they once again were dealt a heartbreaking 1-possession loss. It's been the story of Nebraska football for like the last 5 years. That was once again the case for them on Friday. And those are the type of games that you not only, no one wants to lose those games, but you definitely don't want to lose those at home. And the Cornhuskers, unfortunately, did just that. Illinois, on the other hand, they are 4-0, but in 3 of their next 4 games, they played Penn State, Michigan, and Oregon. So we believe they're legit, but this will truly show how legit they are by how they fare in 3 of their next 4 games. Moving on to Saturday, the Saturday morning slate, the 11 a.m. games were pretty chill. They went kind of as expected. So assume nothing. Well, maybe you could have assumed what was going to happen in those games. We went 5-0 against the spread in our morning games. We had a lot of games at 11 a.m. Didn't miss a single one of those. Extremely happy about that. One of our picks was Clemson covering against NC State. Clemson's offense, 523 yards, finally looking good and competent again. Yes, NC State didn't have Grayson McCall there. Yes, they were playing with a freshman quarterback, but Clemson looked great. 35 points allowed, sure, but a lot of those came in garbage time, or a lot of those came when Clemson was ahead significantly. So I'm going to give him a little bit of grace there. Still covered for us. James Madison, how about that? 70-50 over North Carolina, forcing 5 North Carolina turnovers, a game that featured over 1,200 combined yards of offense. The Tar Heels did not have an answer for the Dukes, who didn't even look all that great in the first few weeks of the season. Again, assume nothing. You never know which team's going to show up for anybody across the country. UNC did not show up. James Madison showed up in a big, big way. 70 points against the Tar Heels on the road. The beating was so bad that Mack Brown offered to step down after the game, but was talked out of it, so he says, by his players and staff. So things are not looking good in Chapel Hill, unfortunately. The afternoon slate's where things got interesting. The afternoon slate was what we were looking forward to, right? A lot of the big games beginning in the afternoon, none bigger maybe than the one in Ann Arbor. Number 11, USC. Number 18, Michigan. Can we say that Michigan's back? Can we say that the Wolverines, who we once thought were left for dead, are back? Because here's the thing. I thought USC was going to come up in here, stuff the run, force Michigan to win the game through the air. They weren't going to be able to do it, and the Trojans were going to win. Not as bad as Texas won a few weeks ago, but convincingly enough. I thought that's what would happen. Michigan was making their quarterback change, switching from Davis Warren to Alex Orji. It just did not seem like a recipe for Michigan to win this game, despite being at home. I was wrong. USC couldn't stop anything. Missed tackle after missed tackle after missed tackle, and had no answer for the Michigan run game that posted 290 rushing yards, 6.3 yards per carry. Michigan won that game despite throwing for just 32 yards. The Wolverines had 32 passing yards on the day and still found a way to win the game. And the storyline for this, to me, was obviously how bad USC's defense was, but also the big play ability of Michigan. That's what won them this game. And you look at the numbers here. They had a 53-yard touchdown to put them up 7-0, a 41-yard touchdown to put them up 14-0, a 42-yard pick six that made it a 20-10 game. USC, despite all of that, battled back, took a 24-20 lead with 7 minutes remaining following a Michigan fumble, so their defense did force a few mistakes here and there. But then, later in the game, what happened? Another big play for Michigan, a 63-yard run by Kalel Mullings to get them to the USC 17-yard line, and then on 4th and goal from the 1, Mullings punched it in to give Michigan the 27-24 win at the Big House. I mean, fantastic game from start to finish. Not the way we thought it was going to go at all. Michigan seems to have once again found their identity. We knew they had a good defense. They had an atrocious offense. The offense showed up today against a top 11 team. Maybe some would say USC is overrated. Some would say Michigan has figured it out. You pick your poison, but regardless, that's a massive win for Michigan. Had they lost here at home, they would have been left for dead. They were done. Playoffs done. Big Ten title hopes done. Everything's done. Michigan maybe has now found themselves some life. Big time win in Ann Arbor. How about down in Stillwater? Number 12. So here's the thing. Beauty of this weekend, right? Not only did we have so many great top 25 matchups, but we saw USC playing in their first Big Ten game. We saw Utah playing in their first Big 12 game. And then later we're going to talk about Oklahoma playing in their first SEC game. So a lot of big time matchups across the board, a lot of firsts for these programs in this new era of realignment, conference realignment. For Utah, they went on the road to Oklahoma State for their first Big 12 game and won that game with their backup quarterback. I, for one, am tired of all the Cam Rising doubt. You know, that was the case last year. Almost every week last year was, is Cam Rising going to play? Is Cam Rising going to play? Is Cam Rising? And then guess what? He didn't play an entire game last season. He didn't play at all in 2023. Now he comes back this year, gets hurt against Utah State, and all week long, is Cam Rising going to play against Oklahoma State? He's a game-time decision. It's just his finger. He sat out. He's going to be fine. Well, guess what? He didn't. So, you know, it was frustrating for people that didn't know who to pick between Utah and Oklahoma State. Was Cam Rising going to play or not? It didn't matter. It didn't matter. And we probably should have known that because the Utah team won 8 games last year without Cam Rising, and they did so behind the strength of their defense. They went on the road and beat number 14 Oklahoma State 22-19 behind the strength of their defense. Yes, Micah Bernard had an amazing game, rushed for a career-high 182 yards in the game. Isaac Wilson, the backup quarterback, 207 yards and a touchdown in this game. But you look at this a little bit deeper. Utah's defense held Oklahoma State to 285 yards total on the day. They held Ollie Gordon to 42 rushing yards on the day. He's been non-existent this year. Nation's leading rusher last year, non-existent this year. Held Oklahoma State to 48 total rushing yards and forced 2 big-time turnovers. Big time day from the Utes defense. A lot of people said the Utes couldn't hang in the Big 12, that they were going to struggle in the Big 12. They just went in to the Big 12 runner-up from last year and won this game 22-19. And really that score doesn't show how bad the game really was. Utah was up 22-3 late. 6:21 remaining in the game. The Cowboys made a late rally to try to come back. Couldn't do it. Utah ran out the rest of the clock, win by 3. So Utah, they were a Big 12 title favorite entering the year for some. Some thought they weren't going to be able to compete. I, for one, did believe they were going to be able to compete, and they are proving us right to begin the year. Missouri. I'll tell you one thing. Tomorrow, when we do our GE Top 25 rankings, Missouri will fall. Missouri will be down a couple notches in the rankings after barely surviving Vanderbilt 30-27 in double overtime. Kind of a embarrassing performance for the Tigers, if I'm being completely honest with you. For some reason, though, in recent years, Vanderbilt has chosen to play Missouri relatively close. The Commodores tend to put up a decent fight against the Tigers, but this year they really probably should have won the game. A back-and-forth game, Vanderbilt ties the game with a little under 20 seconds remaining in the game, sends it to overtime. They struck first in overtime, 27-20. They had the lead. And Missouri scored on the very next play. First play of overtime, Tigers tie it up. They score a field goal, so Vanderbilt had a chance to win the game in double overtime. You score a touchdown, it's over. They get held, and they miss their second field goal of the game. And that missed field goal was bad. A badly missed field goal in the second overtime. The Commodores face heartbreak in Columbia. Missouri, very, very fortunate to survive in a game where they were, 17-point favorites? So a lot of things that Missouri's got to figure out. They're playing a pretty cush schedule. They beat Boston College last week. We're down 14-3 early. They stay at home. They play Vanderbilt and nearly lose that game. Is Missouri in trouble? Is Missouri as good as people think they are? Or this just kind of been a scenario where the Tigers have kind of slept walk and we think they're going to wake up for bigger games? That'll remain to be seen here in the next few weeks. But definitely should be a little concern in Columbia if you are a Missouri fan. Over in the SEC, remaining there. Number 6, Tennessee, taking down number 15, Oklahoma, 25-15. You know, we talked about in our prediction video, pick a storyline, right? Pick a storyline. Tennessee pretty much hit on every single storyline in this game. They won those storylines, right? Josh Heupel's return. He played quarterback at Oklahoma. Now he's head coach at Tennessee. Well, Josh Heupel comes back home and wins the game. We said Tennessee's offense versus Oklahoma's defense. It was a chess match. That's your storyline there. Josh Heupel versus Brent Venables. Josh Heupel won that battle. Tennessee's offense significantly better than that of Oklahoma's defense, and significantly better than that of Oklahoma's offense, which is practically non-existent. And all in the process, the Sooners lost their first SEC conference game. And look, this game wasn't close, guys. Tennessee led 19-3 at halftime. They held the Sooners to 87 yards in the first half. And in the first half alone, this is just the first half, 87 yards, they forced a turnover on downs, an interception, 2 fumbles, and a safety. That's just in the first half. That's a full game for some teams. That's the first half for Tennessee. So what this tells me is Tennessee is absolutely a college football playoff contender. I think we could have known that coming into the game, but this was the first true test for the Volunteers, and they came on the road, dominated a top 15 opponent. Their offense was great, a balanced attack of 194 passing yards, 151 rushing yards. They held Oklahoma's offense to 222 yards, beat them up so bad that they actually benched Jackson Arnold because of how poorly he was playing. Tennessee is absolutely the real deal. Oklahoma's got a lot of questions they've got to figure out, but a 10-point win on the road for the Volunteers, who will continue to rise in our rankings, will continue to rise in the national rankings, and are absolutely not just one of the best teams in the SEC, but one of the best teams in the entire country. And then finally, wrapping up our preview, or our recap, I should say, BYU. Let's give some credit to my BYU fans out there for destroying number 13 Kansas State 38-9, and one of the most epic meltdowns I've ever seen. Kansas State was winning this game 6-0 with under 2.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Defensive battle, but they had the lead. Then BYU hit a field goal to make it 6-3. All right, no big deal. Well then, Kansas State fumbled. BYU got it, scoop and score, 10-3 or 10-6. All right, 10-6. Not ideal for Kansas State, but okay. Then, half's not over, they throw an interception. And then 2 plays later, BYU scores a touchdown. So they went from 6-0 to 17-6 in the span of a little over 2 minutes. Then, to start the second half, Kansas State throws an interception. A couple plays later, BYU scores a touchdown. Then Kansas State goes 3 and out. And then BYU had an absolutely ridiculous 90-yard punt return. Practically ran back to his own end zone, still found a way to get into the end zone, and they were up 31-6. So in just a little less, or a little over, 7 minutes of game time, BYU went from being down 6-0 to up 31-6. 31 unanswered points in just a little over 7 minutes of game time. An absolutely insane performance. Absolutely insane performance. Absolutely terrible meltdown for Kansas State. My preseason pick to win the Big 12. Again, this was a game where the Wildcats actually outgained BYU by 122 yards. But again, BYU was able to, they didn't have to put up a lot of yards. They had short fields due to the Kansas State turnover. So just a bad meltdown for a Kansas State team dealing with a young quarterback. But BYU is now 4-0, undefeated, will be ranked in our top 25. Stay tuned for that tomorrow. And maybe they are legitimate Big 12 title contenders. It's a wide open conference this year, and the Cougars just took down one of the favorites and did so in dominant fashion at home. Crazy things can happen late at night in Provo. We said that. Didn't think it would happen to Kansas State, but again, no one is safe in the world of college football. So guys, there you have it. Big time Week 4 recap. Tons to break down. We could have broken down a lot more games. We'll do that in our live stream later this week. We'll do that in our newsletters later this week. All the more reason to go check those out over on thegridironexpert.com. But we said assume nothing. Every week, assume nothing. Anything can happen in this wild, wild world of college football. We've seen that every single week so far this year, and I have no doubt that we're going to continue to see that every single week as we progress through this season. But as always, we'll be here to recap the madness, to predict the madness, and to cover it every step of the way with you right here on The Gridiron Expert. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes the expert picks. We're fresh off a big-time week here, and we want to continue to reach our goal. We want to continue to expand our GE Nation. So if you want to win big for one of the lowest prices in the country and for a full year-long subscription, which no one else is offering, this is the place for you. Go sign up, become a member today. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.